Hi everyone, welcome to Carmen's Australian Storytime. Today I am reading The Fairies' Tale, a story with pop-ups, foil and more. Pop-ups, a book with pop-ups and foil. That sounds like an adventure. Oh, excuse my fingers, I've been painting today. Tried to get it off. Pop-up castles and fairy wings made of glittering foil are just part of the fun of this magical trip through fairyland. When a magic box filled with costumes mysteriously appears in their attic one day, Flora and Mark go inside and embark on an adventure. Embark just means to go. To help save the fairy queen from an evil wizard's spell. The pop-ups, shining foils, fabrics and colour special effects make this story a fantastic voyage which young readers will want to take again and again. This sounds like a very nice adventure to go on. This book is written by Jamie Lair and illustrated by Tracy Morgan. I love these illustrations. That's one of the reasons I chose this book. As soon as I saw it and the sparkly wings, had to see what was inside. Flora and Mark loved dressing up. They put on their parents' old clothes and had wonderful adventures up in the attic. But one day, when they went to the corner where the dressing up trunk usually stood, it was gone. Do you have an attic at your house? Most houses in Australia don't have them, but an attic is right up in the top of the roof. Some of you might be lucky enough to have one. Usually they get turned into a toy room or a storage room. In its place was a beautiful box. Wow, the children breathed. Let's go inside, said Flora. She opened it and they stepped inside. There was a whole wardrobe full of sparkling jewels and clothes made of satin and velvet. Flora put on a pair of glittery pink shoes and a golden crown. Look, Mark, she cried. I'm a queen, Queen Flora. Mark found himself a green velvet cape with a furry collar like a lion's mane. And I'm King Mark of the jungle. Would you like to see? Let's have a look inside. Oh, wow! And I can feel the velvet of King Mark of the Jungle's robe. And I can feel the pink shoes. Very clever. I think I really like this book. And we are fairies, chimed in two little voices. Flora and Mark looked around. To their astonishment, two little creatures hovered in front of them. Please come with us, they said. It's a matter of great importance. Flora, who was older, was unsure, but Mark was already shouting, Let's go! Yeah, she's being very cautious, which is a good idea. The fairies took them by the hand and up they soared. Soon they were flying over the rooftops of a strange kingdom. Look at the fairy wings. That's what you call a holograph. See how the picture's changing colours? Very cool. Oh. Wow. Flora and Mark stared at the mushroom-shaped turrets. A turret is the top, the peak of something. And the animals that roamed and flew around the castle. A wonderful peppermint smell came from the castle walls. Don't tell me you can eat the castle. Now that would be cool. The fairies led them over a stone wall to the courtyard below. Two soldiers appeared at the castle door and shouted, Hail, Queen Flora and King Mark. I think this land's pretty cool if you get called King and Queen when you get there. The soldiers led the two visitors up steep stone steps. At the top, a blue fairy greeted them. Welcome to Fairyland, she said. Are you the King and Queen of the human children? Not really, said Flora, but we're good at pretending, and we're very brave, Mark added. Very well, said the fairy. Then you will have to do, for we need your help. And she told them the story. Many years ago, there was a land of harmony and good magic, where the fairy queen reigned over the fairies. The fairy folk and her friend, the lion, ruled the animals, but the queen had the misfortune to offend an evil wizard by refusing his hand in marriage. He stole her magic powers, and she became the poor, sad creature you see before you. Then he kidnapped the lion and bound him with poisonous snakes. Since that time, the soldiers have hardly been able to keep our kingdom in order. While the animals do whatever they please, the evil wizard decreed that only the king and queen of the human children could break the spell. So we've been searching for you ever since with the help of the magic costume box. So they've been going around and around all the children's homes looking for the right children. Do you think they've found them? I think you're right. Look at these beautiful wings. I don't think that does anything. Just the kingdom. Flora thought for a moment. Perhaps if the queen put on my crown and shoes and tried hard enough, she would regain her powers, she suggested. The blue fairy clapped her hands. Splendid, she said. A pink fairy held the queen's hand while Flora sadly took off her glittering shoes and crown and gave them to the queen. Make a prediction. Do you think it's going to work? Let's see. In an instant, the queen was transformed. Her torn dress changed into a beautiful gown and her wings shimmered. Dozens of fairies appeared carrying food for a glorious banquet. These beautiful wings, and now holograph again. They're changing colours. I love this book. Mark and Flora joined in the feast. It continued for several scrumptious hours until at last the queen pointed to a giant telescope which stood in the corner of the room. I wonder what the telescope's for. At midnight, look through the telescope and find the most brilliant star in the sky, said the queen. When you see it, your next steps will be clear. Good luck, children. When the clock chimed midnight, Mark looked through the telescope. He searched the night sky until he found the brightest star. Flora, come quickly, he called. She ran to his side and grabbed his hand just in time. The two children were sucked upwards, through the telescope and towards the light. I wonder what's happening. I think I'd be a little bit scared. Flora's bare feet tingled with the heat as they danced from star to star. They followed the star path up and up until finally they reached the base of an enormous shining throne. You have found my magic steps. I have waited years for its return. In your hands it holds the power to release me from these snakes. Mark took off the cape, climbed up the throne and solemnly placed the garment on the lion's shoulders. Solemnly means a little bit seriously, or even a little bit sadly. You can be solemn when you're sad about something. Oh, I can see the velvet. He's dragging it up. Watch out for those snakes, Mark. Lucky he's very brave. The snake ropes fell away. Roar! The lion roared. Long live the king of the animals, shouted Mark. Can you tell us how to get home? Said Flora. You are already on your way. The magic box still sits in your attic, awaiting your return. It will make a pathway to your home. What a magical story. Look at those snakes. Oh, I don't like snakes. What about the wizard? Mark wondered. Will he come back? Don't worry about him. Your bravery broke the enchantment forever, and he cannot cause any more harm. Flora and Mark waved goodbye to the lion. Come back to Fairyland soon, he roared. The stars melted into a liquid ribbon, pouring Flora and Mark down into the attic. The two travellers dusted themselves off and looked around. The old dress-up trunk was back over near the wall. They carefully opened it, and it was full of their parents' old clothes. Nothing special. Flora sighed. Will we ever go to Fairyland again? Then they saw the puppets that hung from the ceiling and the walls. There was the lion, the fairy queen, the fairies, the soldiers, even the animals. Thank you, royal children, called a tiny voice. Then it vanished, leaving Mark and Flora alone in their own attic fairyland. Oh, so they have little puppets of all of those creatures on the walls. So I wonder if they might have been dreaming or if this actually happened. What do you think? Thank you for joining me on Carmen's Australian Storytime. Look what I've done. I've left... what was that page? Do you remember? A beautiful castle. I left it open. With pop-up books, you have to be really careful to fold them so that you don't break them or wreck them. What a magical book. I hope you enjoyed me on Carmen's Australian Storytime today. Don't forget to click and subscribe, and I look forward to reading to you again soon. Bye for now.